Hello, my name is ChristiIna Willis, and I did my psychological analysis project on Squidward Tentacles from SpongeBob SquarePants. So, Squidward's place of birth is Bikini Bottom. He was born most likely in the 1950s, as there is a flashback in the episode The Original Fry Cook, where he seemed to be in his early 20s in what is implied to be the 1970s. Squidward will be nearly 70 years old today. The series premiered in 1999, so Squidward was around 40, maybe 40 to 49. Squidward's upbringing, he had a close relationship with his mother. In some episodes, he references his mother, and we can also see his mother in some episodes. He and his father had a complicated relationship because Squidward and his dad loved each other, but Squidward said his father never hugged him. So it's like, if you love your son, why aren't you hugging him? But he said his father still loved him nonetheless. Squidward during his school years had some issues as he has a long-standing rival named Squilliam Fancy Son. And Squilliam is basically everything Squidward wants to be. He's rich, he's successful. He also has like prominence in the arts. He was known for dancing in one episode called I Heart Dancing. Squidward wants all those things. He wants recognition in the arts. He wants recognition for talents in general, which are his biggest passions in his life, but he never finds those for long terms. Like, he never finds long-term success in the arts. On the other note of Squidward's backstory, he had been working at the Krusty Krab for at least maybe 20 years before the series began, which is in 1999. Seems like he worked there since the 70s, maybe earlier. SpongeBob started working at the Krusty Krab in 1999 on the series premiere episode Help Wanted. That was the pilot, so that was the first episode of the series where SpongeBob got his job. So Squidward had been working there for a significant amount of time, and the most turmoil in his life came when SpongeBob joined him working at the Krusty Krab. So before the series began, SpongeBob was already Squidward's neighbor. That's established in like backstories in previous episodes. He lives beside Squidward, and then Squidward's house is in the middle. SpongeBob is, let's say, here. Patrick is here. They both sandwich Squidward in between them as neighbors, and they drive him crazy. SpongeBob is the biggest source of turmoil in Squidward's life. He is sick of his dead-end job. He would not want to be at the Krusty Krab, but like I said, he can't find long-term success, because when he does get long-term success, what he does is become power hungry, and sometimes his power goes way too far, like in the episode Band Geeks, where he literally pushed some of his band members to death. They were twirling flags. They twirled them so hard that they turned into propellers, and they flew into the air and hit a blimp and died. And then the other band members played taps, so you know. Squidward does go too far when he gets power, and like I said, some episodes he does become a touring musician. He does get into a band with SpongeBob, but by the next episode, everything resets, so he never really is stuck with the success. Something always happens, something takes away his opportunity by chance, and that, that contributes to his mental state. He's very pessimistic, because pessimism is, having a negative outlook on life. Everything bad always happens to me outlook, which the worst does always happen to Squidward. So pessimism is understood in his circumstance. He also is very full of himself. He doesn't really care for others most of the time, and he's usually depressed or cynical. So, diagnosis-wise, psychologically, I would say Squidward suffers from narcissistic personality syndrome or other symptoms of narcissism, because he is very full of himself. He has hundreds of self-image paintings and different art pieces he has in his home he made of himself. He's always glorifying himself. He tied his hair to his self-worth, so he has his highs and lows with self-image and comparing himself to Squilliam, but he does always glorify himself. He puts himself first, and he puts others beneath him. Next, I would say that Squidward, of course, he has depression, because in every episode, just about, he's either down, low mood, irritable. He's just always upset. And in one episode, Club SpongeBob, he literally says, "Why must every 11 minutes of my life be filled with misery?" Which, understandable, because they are for the most part. There's only maybe one good Squidward win episode, and that's Band Geeks. And like I said, he went power crazy in that episode. But in the end, he did show, his ability to be a good band leader to Squilliam. Squilliam couldn't take it. He had a heart attack. He saw Squidward, once he saw Squidward being successful, but it's the biggest Squidward win episode. The next diagnosis I would say Squidward may possibly display is obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD. He does have an alarm clock closet. Like in one episode, Employee of the Month, SpongeBob breaks into Squidward's house in the middle of the night. He breaks Squidward's alarm clock so he can't come to work on time to be the Employee of the Month. So Squidward, he's just laughing it off because he opens a closet and it's full of hundreds of alarm clocks. So he has a hoarding aspect. He is very tidy in his home, and he has hundreds of paintings he may feel compelled to make, a compulsion, like I have to keep making these of myself. So he may display a diagnosis of obsessive compulsive disorder. Lastly, Squidward may display a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. He may not for sure because he does care about others, maybe 1 to 5% of the time. Like, it's very rare Squidward will actually. It's rare Squidward will put someone above himself or stand up for them, but he does stand up for SpongeBob in the episode Pizza Delivery, when they spend days trying to deliver a pizza to this one customer who's ungrateful. He slams the door in SpongeBob's face. So Squidward actually just goes and handles the guy because he doesn't like the way SpongeBob was treated. So that was a season 1 episode. Later on in time, it is rarer. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any other episodes where he really defends SpongeBob like that, but that was notable because, he stood up for SpongeBob, which is something that you don't really see that often. So Squidward does have love interests, but for the most part, it's all about him. And he'll do things to make others do what he wants, or he'll put himself above others. So he might not display a full antisocial personality disorder diagnosis, but possibly. Lastly, I would say that Squidward, probably treatment-wise, he probably could be treated with talk therapy, which he has done in one episode, Squid Bob Tentacle Pants, when he was fused with all the members of Bikini Bottom, pretty much, the main cast, because of a freak accident. It's a long story, but he did go to talk therapy, and he started the scene with, "It all started when I was born." So he would, participate in talk therapy. That may help him. Moving away from Bikini Bottom, but not moving to an area that's fully squids, like Squidville, where everyone's exactly like him, wouldn't work. But maybe moving somewhere, finding a friend who's similar but not exactly the same, which he did once with a guy named Howard. But every episode resets, so that didn't last. So if he moved away from Bikini Bottom, found a similar friend, maybe they could do art projects, play music together, stuff like that. If he did want to stay in Bikini Bottom, if he just talked to SpongeBob, told him, "Hey, let's go to group therapy. Let's go to, a therapy session together. Let's talk about how you're ruining my life, making my life worse." SpongeBob may actually change his behavior towards Squidward. So things may change for him. So I feel like different options are there for treatment for him. He also could maybe take, antidepressants, some other medication, maybe some SSRIs, because Squidward honestly can be changed, such as in the episode Not Normal, where he did fully just change his mindset and became normal. So there's an option for change within Squidward. He just has to stick to it. Hopefully the series sticks to it because, resets every episode. So in conclusion, Squidward, I believe, displays a diagnosis of narcissism, depression, antisocial personality disorder, possibly, but I feel more possibly obsessive compulsive disorder because of his hundreds of paintings he makes of himself, his tidiness. Narcissism because of his self-image and inflated self-image. And depression because he's pessimistic, depressed, down, always in a bad mood for the most part of the series. So, yes. Thank you for watching.